Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly and I'm back with another episode of Start Before You're Ready. And I am here with my dear friend, colleague, partner in energy, Jill Rooks. I met Jill Rooks through the Todd Durkin Mastermind. We can't really determine exactly when we met, but we believe that we were meant to be together. And one of the things that we love to joke about and have fun with is East Coast energy and West Coast energy. So I'm Kelly and the name of my studio is Inergy, and we're up in Northern Virginia, and Jill Rooks' name of her studio is the Energy Lab, which I think is the coolest name ever, next to energy. They're both the coolest name ever. And we're both very much about energy. We're both very much about people. We're both very much about the feelings that we have and just kind of doing our work pretty intuitively, I think. I think that's one thing that we have in common. We really like to kind of feed off of what our people need in the moment. And it's worked really well for both of us. I am really excited to share Jill with you. She's on a little bit of a different vibration than me, which is one of the things that I love. She kind of calms me. We were roommates. Was it last year, Jill, that we were roommates? We are perfect roommates. We are perfect roommates. She is an incredible leader in the fitness space. She's actually a coach in the Todd Durkin Mastermind. So she coaches, other business owners, and helps them be the best at what they do. She's one person that I have turned to many times in my journey as a fitness business owner and as a fitness professional, because she's always positive and optimistic, and she believes in people. She loves people. And you're going to see everything that I love about her. But I'm going to go ahead and let Jill introduce herself to the Start Before You're Ready community, and hopefully her community. Hopefully our communities are merging.
Absolutely. Well, they always do. There's just East Coast, West Coast energy. I think that's, I remember meeting you, Kelly, on a field leading a workout. And you could tell you were different because you just commanded the space. And this is like this huge outdoor workout. We're probably at like 10,000 elevation in Colorado. And Kelly just got us going, and we did whatever Kelly said. And it was just perfect. So
I hope my members heard that. They did what I said.
I understand.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you're in Northern Virginia. I'm in Southern California, and we're kind of in the hub of Southern California. We're halfway between Palm Springs in LA, very close to Orange County, very close to San Diego. It's sort of an hour to a mountain or an ocean or a lake or a beach or whatever you like. So I started in the fitness industry. I began teaching in 1999. I remember that because I was pregnant. And not start with everything. Start before you're ready, right? The name of what you guys do. And so I kind of tell the story. I was teaching aqua aerobics. I was on a pool deck, and then my water broke, and I gave birth to my son that night. And so
that sounds about right.
You just do it. You embrace the experience. You get to tell the stories. You have the memories. And that was when my fitness career, I would say, professionally began. Before that, I was in sports in high school and college. But then I fell out of it. I really got into fitness because I fell out of shape after high school and college athletics. And my dating life with my now husband was like a Ben and Jerry's dating life. You know, like buying a wedding dress that's much larger than I ever thought I would be. And then medical things. My family has a huge history of heart disease in our family. So when medical tests came back, you need to work on some numbers, I took that very seriously. Whoa, I'm 23. My medical numbers are not great. I really need to, what have I done? And so that started my health journey.
Okay.
I hadn't been working out for a few years, from the college to get working mode, meet my husband mode, even in the get married mode. And after that, I just joined a gym. I I was a swimmer, so I learned to swim. I had the Joni Greggins tapes, the VHS. I bought a step. So you and your step community, I love to see it. Because I had my step, I had my dumbbells, I had my VHS, I had all of Tammy Lee Webb's Abs of Steel and Buns of Steel. And I just had a system. As it was Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays, I'd swim. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'd do the video. Sundays, I'd take off. And I am a creature of habit that way. So it worked for me. My nutrition changed. Everything changed. And then suddenly, 40 pounds went away. It took a year. None of it happens overnight, but it was just that diligent effort. So at that point, we moved to Southern California. I was in Washington State at that time. And when we moved here, I started to swim at the local gyms. And I would just be doing my laps and swimming, trying to get my miles. And these aqua aerobic classes would start. I'm like, I got to hurry up and beat the aqua classes because they're going to kick me out. And nothing's worse than getting kicked out of a pool by like a bunch of like really ready to go 70 and 80-year-olds. You're just like, okay.
Oh my God. I know that world, that aqua.
They're amazing. They're dedicated. So
absolutely.
The teacher's like, why don't you join us? And I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And it was so much fun. So then began my group experience, being with all of these people and just having the best time. So the teacher asked me if I would consider teaching, and I was like, sure. And then I'm pregnant and I'm teaching. And then I, went on to get certified in cycling and Pilates and yoga and strength training and the whole fitness world. And one thing led to another. So my job that I had, I eventually left. Kids grew up in kids clubs. Became a coordinator at a big gym for all the group exercise classes.
Okay.
And at some point I decided so many people in classes in those days that couldn't really do everything quite right. And I was sort of just for if you're going to take your time to do this, let's make sure you're not wasting your time by just going through the motions. Let's make sure this feels good and you can do it again tomorrow and it's right. So that's when I got my personal training cert. That I decided I saw a lot of the trainers in the big gym environments. I'm like, I don't want to wear that shirt. That's not who I am doing what they do. So people started to come to my garage. The garage had, TRXs before anyone knew what TRXs were. I mean, Ren, the idea show as like a tiny, tiny table was all he had. He had like one prototype of his TRX. And so that's where my TRX life started. And they would just get on the beams in the garage. We'd go down to the park and have boot camps. Some of my members are still with me now from the garage days. And they're like, yeah, remember you used to make us walking lunge around the block and all these people on the street are like honking at us. I'm like, I remember. So
oh my gosh.
It was what I call the good old days because you don't realize how lovely and simple. It was a good crew. My kids, they'd come out, can I have a piece of toast for breakfast? Yeah, you're on your own.
Oh my gosh, I know.
It was good until a friend said, you got to do more. So I say it was good until a friend said, but it was also good after she said, because she literally took me up and down the street, saw the for-lease sign, called the landlord. She made the appointment. She said, yes, you're going to sign that agreement. And I'm like, what are we doing? I know how to teach and train, but running a business is a different animal. But
okay,
I figured I have my TRXs. I have clients. I really wanted to get bikes. I really enjoyed cycling. We have a big cycling community here, so that was important. And we just started with that. A small little space. I knew I could support it with my client base if they believed in me. I just worked it all. Eventually coaches who were members came on board to coach. And so we've been in business. This is our 15th year. So many, iterations of coaches and styles and different people bring different things in. But what you talk about, the energy is what's so cool because that remains the same. I think that's what people, like what I saw in you when you led a workout for us, like you just explode, it's in your heart, it's in your eyes, it's in your smile, it's in the moves you choose and encourage people with. So the energy is really what draws people and allows them to stay. So it's a beautiful work in progress.
It is. That's such a great story, Jill. I absolutely love that. And it's actually feels a little similar. The timeline's similar too. So 2007 is you were in your garage. And then that's when your friend who obviously loves you dearly and believed in you, maybe a little bit before you believed in yourself, told you need to do something and encouraged you to find a space. And I don't know in California how easy that is to do. I have a feeling it's not it's pretty expensive to rent anything. I have a feeling where you live, I know it is where I live too. So that was a big leap of faith. Did you do the math or did you just say?
I think things just, when they fall into place, they're meant to be.
Okay.
And so everything truly just fell into place. We've had this same landlord all of the time, and he's the landlord. And they didn't rent gouge us. It's like a person who's the landlord. But I knew with my training, I could support it.
Yeah. You believed in yourself.
I never looked at, 30 years down the road. And I was 39. So I also was far in when other people start. So again, start before you're ready. Like I wasn't ready. I didn't have a business plan. The math as far as, yes, I can do.
Yes, the math. No, I'm just joking. That's something I always say. I'm like, do the math. Is this going to work? But you had built a business in your garage. You had clients. You knew what you wanted to offer. You just needed more space to do it. So I think that's brilliant. Obviously, I think that's brilliant because that's similar to my path. So when you opened your studio, did you have any help in running it or was it just you?
No, it was lovely. 5 a.m. to 8 p.m., you do it all. But I don't know. And there were helpers, like people who really believed in the mission and support and who hung out with you and offered guidance and support and advice. And a year into it is when I joined them. Actually, a year into it is when I took the mentorship. So the top mentorship. That kind of opened up an opportunity. Whoa, there's other people who do this. Okay. Crazy. Because CrossFit world, like there were like 15 CrossFits in our town. And I was, no, I'm not CrossFit, but I'm going to take care of you. But you're going to be challenged, but you're going to be sick. You know what I mean? Like there was a thing to explain who we are. Because, even with yours, it's like energy, the world is what they want tangible. And this is an intangible sensation and outcome that you can't put a price tag on. But those who experience it know it's the most priceless thing in the world. So that was challenging, overcoming what do you do, especially with the Energy Lab. We still get calls like, hey, can I drop off my labs there? We're
like, it's the best name. It's the best name. I'd love for you to share your story about how you came up with the Energy Lab.
Yeah, well, we had friends when I decided to do this who owned a design company in town. And so they offered to help us, and then they were our first members too. So we had this little agreement, and they had me in their office with their designers behind a wall for hours, talking about my training philosophy and what I work on and how I help people. And I had clients like up to their 90s in my company. So I had already gained a lot of experience with multiple sclerosis and very, very senior clients, with the aqua aerobics crowd, with the cycling crowd, the yoga. So in having this conversation with these designers sitting there, they then sent me like a whole board and it had different names on it. And when they explained to me the name, the Energy Lab, because I worked with some triathletes also, they said, it is said in Kona, Hawaii, at that point in the triathlon, if you can make it to the Energy Lab, you're going to be okay. You're going to make it. So there's an actual Energy Lab structure in Kona. And it's just a very low key. It's in the middle of like nowhere. There's no trees. It's on the ocean. So it's definitely right there on the coast. And it's right at mile 20 of the marathon. So the last part is the run. You're at mile 20. You got those couple miles left to go. And that's like a turning point for many people. And when you get there, it's still very hot. It's still very dry. It's still very barren. But there's something about it that if you can make it there, you're going to finish. You've come this far. You're going to be okay. When they showed me about an actual Energy Lab, I was like, that's it. Like, and my mom was doing triathlons at the time, so it was all very meaningful to me. And it was just really like, that is it. It's like, other people use a lighthouse, other people have different beacons of hope. But to me, the concept of someone running a race who's tried really hard and has put themselves out there and have the courage to start something, to still doubt themselves, to know how much courage we need to draw upon again and again. That's just, we all need that, So that's where it came from.
I absolutely love the name and I love the why and I love that that's how you came up with it. That's incredible. I'd love to share with our audience and actually me, because I don't know that I 100% understand your model, because it seems like you do so many different things. I see group, I see small group, I see personal training, I see you guys outside. I see, that's what I love, because I love the different modalities. So if you were selling me a membership at Energy Lab, or telling me, seeing if I would be a good fit for your studio, what would you tell somebody?
Mostly we ask them what they've done before, because they give us a good idea, like if they're interested in group or if they're interested in personal training. That's kind of the first, like you said, we do offer both. And mostly it's all been built on my experience. And since I always was both a coach and a trainer and an instructor, I love the energy of the class, but I also love the nitty gritty of seeing somebody who's like, I don't know why I can't get it. I don't know why. And to be able to kind of tap into what their body's actually doing, into how did you sleep, to ask the questions we can't ask in a class or you just don't have the space for, to be able to dive in. So immediately we'll know. We are known for very knowledgeable trainers and coaches who we put a lot of care in, but also a lot of education in, because these bodies are such a gift. And how temporary life is just something like to enjoy every day that we have this body that can do these things. And I mean, like you've been there forever. You've seen a lot of lives that it doesn't always end well. And so to treasure that, when they walk in our doors, it's like, what have you done? And what is it you want to do? And how can we help you? Then they'll start to unravel. And then it'll be like, well, I've got 3 kids at home. I can only sneak out at 5 a.m. Okay. So this might be a route that we would go. In the early morning, we have these classes. If they're like, yeah, I get all the kids off to school, then I'm ready for my day and my time. Okay, we have these midday classes. So we really just identify who and what. We did open the yoga studio recently, the past 4 years. So that's been another caveat that has also been challenging. And it's interesting because in my mind, everything goes together. So when I created our first class schedule, I taught Pilates and I taught aqua aerobics and I taught cycling and I taught strength training, but I never did them back to back. I was like, I had my Pilates days here and I had my cycling days here and I had my strength here. So the class schedule I always designed, I'm like, why would you want to do boot camp 5 days a week? Like, get some other things in there, get some movements, ability. And so that's been a big challenge because not everyone, they fall into what they like. So not everyone thinks along the lines of like, oh, if I do strength training, I can also do yoga. I'm like, yes, it makes your strength training better, and make that better. So that's a big hurdle, but we do offer all of it. And there are pockets of people who really dive into their areas, like the cycling people, just do cycling. The strength training people, just do strength training people. But what's really cool is when they are introduced or we change the schedule or they come on the weekends. Or sometimes even we would finish a class in the yoga space. Or at the end of a cycling strength training class, I would invite my sound bath person in. So the people who just went crazy in like the raw, high environment, and she'd bring the sound bath in there. So I try to just remind people of what exists outside of what we know, to embrace all of the possibilities. But you will see, the outside here, we're so lucky we can go outside. During the pandemic, when we went outside, we had this big back lot, and some of our members, they like loaned us these ramps so we could bring all of our equipment up the stairs because there's stairs to go to our back lot. And so we would wheel all of our equipment out to this back lot. And then Sean would set up, 15 easy ups to cover it all up because it's 100 degrees here in the summer. And it was at that point when they were doing like the business loans and all those types of things that I had a conversation actually with some of our mastermind coaches, and Todd helped me. Should I invest in putting concrete slab down, get rid of the asphalt? Should I invest in a permanent overhead structure of shade? And we did, and it's been so good. That's when we painted the mural on the back of the building. And it was
so you have way more space than, that outdoor training space
it just
really expanded you.
Yeah, it definitely has. And that's where we offer like the hybrid DECA events. That is a whole nother facet of fitness. And I guess I usually say yes to anything that comes along, and I figure it out along the way. So the opportunity, should we do it? Well, are there enough people who want to do it? Am I interested in doing it? Because if I am, I can kind of experience it myself and explain it or lead the way. And if it makes sense and people have a good time, then let's give it a shot. So we use the outside for that quite a bit because it's a lot of big equipment and people come and watch and cheer. And so there's a lot going on in that world. But at the same time, in the yoga space, there will be several back-to-back yoga classes. And so we'll have a DJ out back just kind of killing it with these big athletic events. And then in here, it's the other side. And sometimes, I'm sure like you, when you walk by your building and you see it, or you see your teachers, teaching your members, you're like, wow, how did that, like that was in here and now it's out there. So it's fun to pause and see what has come of like you listening.
I love that. So it's evolved very organically. It sounds like, Jill. Is this going to serve my members? Is this something that I want to do? Do I have a teammate that wants to? So I really like that. And I'm sure your members really appreciate that as well. And giving them the opportunity to do different modalities, even if they don't. I mean, we're the same. We have yoga, we have, and there's a small percentage of our people take advantage of it. Everybody says they want to. Everyone says, I need to do more yoga. I need to do more stretching. I need to do more, but but it's there and they might find the value in it down the road. But you as an instructor, just what I know in the fitness world, I feel like you're either like an intense fitness instructor or you're this yin yoga mindset, mindfulness, but you are like so naturally both, which I find very interesting. Like, I love that about you. Like you're super, super fit. Like you are incredibly fit. And you also could lead a breath work class or any kind of meditation or any kind of thing like that without even having to think about it. Is that always part of who you've been, or is that just what you've kind of recognized as what you've needed and you feel like your students need it?
I attribute it to my mom, I think, because I remember going to yoga with her as a kid. I took me to Nautilus. I remember waking up early in the morning with my dad too. He'd be getting ready for work and I'd have those VHS tapes going in when I was in like 7th grade. Actually, I think it was VHS and I think it was some TV station in the early morning, probably Jack LaLanne type thing. I don't think I'm that old though, but I don't know. So it was the fitness, but the yoga, they did always sort of become one in my world. As a swimmer, you're in your own repetitive zone. It's a very rhythmic thing. I was always like counting my strokes. It was I get lost. And even when I don't listen to music, I'm just in it. So I've always enjoyed that. You're right. When I see the intensity in something, I'm not afraid to like stoke that fire in myself, someone else, because you see in them like that awesome spark in their eye, like, you think I can do it? I'm like, I know you can do it. And then you dive into something. But it's so cool when the energy like rises. And then you've crossed that like threshold. It's like the wall. One of my favorite things is Randy Pausch. He wrote the book, The Last Lecture. And he talks about the walls are only for those who know there's something on the other side. Most people see a wall and they stop. Like, oh, there's a wall. Cool. That's it. I'm done. I'm like, the wall is like this magical place where you have to embrace the struggle. You either go over it or through it, or maybe you climb a hole under it. But when you get to the other side, there's this whole other world that exists. And in yoga, that's the Shavasana. Like, you've worked hard, you've put it all out there, but suddenly you let your body just soak it up and absorb what it just accomplished. And that's where like the brain and the mind and the heart become like this one, like a spiral effect of, okay, I did that. That means I can probably do it again. That means I can probably do it again. It means there's going to be a struggle, but I know I can overcome it. So I think that's where the worlds meet for me in kind of seeing the intertwinement of them. And I just can fall into it wherever people need to be. This week I taught a class at a Viore store, and it was just yoga and sound bath. And normally I'm teaching my Saturday morning high energy, go for it, tear it up. And I was like feeling a little unsettled. I was a little, I need to get that light push. But it was also so lovely for me to be uncomfortable, teaching yoga on a Saturday morning when I want to be tearing it up, and just seeing everybody kind of melt into it. And then my day was like this different kind of calm. I still went for like a run that night because I had that energy rise up again. But the ability in both situations, the high energy and the high frequency energy, to let bodies like come out of what the parameters of the world are or that they've self-imposed and just be, just feel, just breathe. I think it happens in both places, just differently.
So Jill, one of the things that you mentioned a little bit was your mom and dad. And I think that's one of the things that we've bonded over the years, is because I feel like a lot of what you do, it initially was maybe because of your dad. Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I share this when I do goal setting workshops, because that's where I first learned about it. So in 2006, my father passed away. But before he passed away, it was a sudden heart attack. So it was one of those, like, we saw him, my kids had spent the night at his house, and then the next morning he was gone. And that summer, before this happened, I had a journal. And I had just forgotten about it. So I do encourage everyone, write your journals, write your thoughts, because you never know when they'll come back to you. But this journal was like July of 2006, and it talked about I wanted to create a community place where there were BOSUs, because the gyms didn't have BOSUs, where there were TRXs, where people could come as they were and just feel good about moving their bodies and experiencing health. And then August came, and that was when my father passed away. And I grieved for a long time. It was like before Dad and after. And for many, many years, that just sat with me. So when my friend encouraged me to open the Energy Lab, like I said, I just was like, okay, sure, let's do that. It wasn't until I did the first goal setting workshop that I pulled out old journals and I found that journal. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, there was like breadcrumbs telling me what to do, but I had this pause in my life of just sadness that I needed to like use what he left me and use it for good. And so it was very powerful, because you realize you're doing something for so much more than yourself, and there's this whole bigger picture out there. And it just changed my mission into like, I think I'm doing this for my dad. And not for him, I mean, for me, for our community, for the people. But I was just like, as I continue to develop this isn't fully developed. In fact, it developed more just last summer when Todd asked me to speak at the summit we did in LA. And again, this is where signs come into play. The topic Todd asked me to talk about was to put together a talk about the most important conversation you'll ever have. And I remember thinking, what on earth does Todd want me to talk about? So I brainstormed my own. I came up with 10 types of conversations. The one I really resonated the most with was when I talked about the unspoken conversation. And I brought myself back to my dad's last day, and he had already passed, but we were in the hospital. They asked if we could see him. And I was like, yes. And I remember holding his hand and like feeling my pulse, but swearing I could feel something, like his pulse was turning to me. And when I kind of did a lot of reflection to write that talk last year and talk about conversations, it kept coming to me like energy, back to energy, kind of, can it be transferred from one human being to another? And this just like, that veil of life and death, that's sort of a mission. You might not know what you're supposed to do with it until time or people or signs come in that say, this has been here for you all along. It's waiting. Maybe you're not ready. You have to wait till you're ready. But so it's been a work in progress, seeing where my dad's life was so influential. A huge commitment to just like our hearts and that cardiovascular health. So we have anatomical hearts painted on the walls and on our murals here, because and that's one of our most popular shirts is the heart. It's just such a representation of everything we do, just that energy and that vibration and that the stories it holds, the scars it holds. Usually it's scars that scare people. Usually our fear is based on those things that get trapped. So that's where my dad still is here.
Yeah. So when you painted the mural in outside your studio, I guess. That's a tribute to both your mom and your dad.
Yes. Yeah. So that was 2006 with my father. And like I said, I was numb, I'm sure, for a long time. And I'm still learning based on even that talk I did last year where it comes in. But in 2019, it was really weird. My mom, she'd done triathlons. She'd done a marathon in every state in her 50s. So when she went to finish her marathons, it was the month after my father died, her 50th one. And she still went and she still did it. And then she and I did, in October of that year, the Marine Corps Marathon in DC. And that was like her culmination of the 50 states. So I did that marathon with her. She was so brave. She wasn't even 60 years old when he passed. And I just remember like, okay, you just put one foot in front of the other. You just keep going. And, a lot of people are like, no, you need to stop, you need to pause. And you do honor, you do grieve, but you also, movement moves things in every way. So watching her life, it came to a pause in March of 2019. She had a lot of aches and pains in her stomach, and she'd been doing Pilates with me forever. She was doing our strength training workshop. She was deciding she was going to do like an international triathlon competition. She's like, I just don't feel good. So you have to be careful when you're very healthy and dealing with your body, because you probably know more than physicians or tests might tell you, but you also are so healthy you can endure a lot. So finally, my sister and husband took my mom to urgent care, and she had a very, very large tumor. And so it took a lot of us understanding she's not going to get better, a lot of frustration with doctors and the medical system, because we didn't hear that. She was gone within 4 months, but we didn't think that was going to be the outcome when we first found this out. So those 4 months, everything shrinks in and also expands. And it's time that feels like it went on forever and ever. So when I look back, I'm like, wow, 4 months is just mind-blowing. So she was 72 and she had colon cancer. And we were taking care of her at her house, which is in town. And there was this peacock who always walked outside her window. And she just named him Mr. Rogers. And that became her story. And so our mural wall, actually, even as I'm sitting in this room, there's a picture of peacocks back there. It became the symbol of the peacock. The day she died, I was driving by the studio. My sister was there that night, and she called me. And so normally I teach the 5:30 a.m. class, and some of my members are teachers, so they took care of it for me. But we're driving by the studio, and we always read a card at the end of each class, like a quote card. And that quote card said, "You whose day it is, get out your rainbow colors and make it beautiful." And so somehow the symbol of the rainbow became my mom. Peacock became my mom. Just a lot of things came into play with our members who knew her really well and her existence as an Energy Lab member. So she's on the murals through the peacock.
I love that. And well, you also shared, I don't know if it was in your talk, but you also shared that she, when I think during her final months, she had colored pencils and coloring books everywhere. That was like one of her mechanisms, or something that she did to soothe herself, so that quote card was really powerful for more than one reason.
Yeah. Well, after my dad passed, she did a lot of her own reflection and went to a lot of retreats. And she really needed to learn how to live again and so I learned probably a lot of meditation techniques and the power of forgiveness from things she learned on that journey as well. So it's really cool, I think, when people hand down things you don't know are important until somewhere in your subconscious it comes out again and you're like, I learned that from someone else and there's a reason I need this now. I'm carrying it. So, yeah.
Well, I feel like you've always, just in the time I've known you and mindset and just the way you've kind of fused different disciplines together, maybe a little bit ahead of your time. And I know, in particular during the pandemic, you taught, and I know you actually started a podcast with meditations. What would you say to our listeners that might be thinking about meditation or might be curious about it or might want to start a practice of their own, but maybe are intimidated and maybe don't feel like it's for them? What would you say to them, Jill?
I would say if you like to just close your eyes and have empty space at any point in your day, then you're already meditating. It's the ability to just zero out. So if you sit in your car before you walk into a meeting or before you walk into the house at the end of the day because you just need that pause, then you're already doing it. There's a lot of confusion between like prayer and meditation. And I remember when I first started to offer it at the Energy Lab, we had a boot camp called PMA, and that was Positive Mental Attitude Boot Camp. And we would have a workout for 30 minutes. That was fairly intense and very unusual, and then a work in for 30 minutes. And so we would purposely have someone come in who taught us about mala beads. We would go and walk some labyrinths. So it was really cool and weird. Like the community, this is before the pandemic, just thought that was normal. Like, okay, Jill's going to bring us our journals now. We're going to, sit quiet. And they kind of craved it and just fell into it because the concept of resting is so unfamiliar to us. Feels so good to have more in you later because you chose to rest. So meditation was received then. Some people were like, I can't do that. It was very woo-woo. Like, it's different than prayer. I still pray and have a faith system, but I'm in an active conversation in prayer. In meditation, I'm nothing. It literally is more of a brain letting go and releasing so that anything that's like fuzzy or always chattering at us, we train the brain to move it aside to find just this clear space. And when you find like that clear aspect, it's like just taking the most beautiful walk in the world where you don't have to judge, is it sunny, is it foggy, is it gray, is it green? You just literally are in a moment of experiencing without the need to describe or judge what the experience is. So anybody, and probably everybody in some way, takes that breath and probably craves for the noise to stop, or the thoughts that are always moving through us to just sort of cease for a moment. And I think if they find that, they're doing it. If they don't find it, I would encourage them to recognize it's a process and maybe to stay 30 seconds longer in the car. Like sit at the breakfast table drinking coffee and just like watch that tree move for 30 seconds longer, without defining it or creating a story about it, because we're so good at filling in the gaps and our brain is very intuitive that way. But sometimes the nothing is the meditation. And I think that's what's hard to grasp. When you sit into it though, and that's also, it could be considered a daunting process. So my meditation is I bring my phone, so I have my timer. I have a certain pen I use and I have a certain journal I use. And I'm really bummed when my journal is gone. And I try and find the same journal because I'm like, I'm a ritual person. So I need my journal. I go in, I have a fountain in our recovery room and I turn the fountain on, I shut the door and I just close my eyes and I sit with the fountain and I set my timer for 3 minutes. And that's assuming I have 3 minutes. Some days I have 1 minute, some days I have 2 minutes. Once the timer goes off, if I have time, I stay because it feels really good once you're in like a state. Other times I'm like, gosh, I wonder when that timer's going to go off. Then I just pull the journal out and literally anything that comes out comes out. So I don't think anybody, including myself, could read what I even write in there, but it's just like the letting go, the release. So meditation is maybe 5 minutes after I do the journaling, and then that's it. I move on. So I created it so it's doable, not a ton of time. I miss it when it doesn't happen. So like if there's days where I'm like, I walk by the room and I'm like, I need to get in there, but I won't, or whatever. I notice it. And when I'm in a long streak, let's say, because, we're not perfect. You know what it's like. We're always responding to things. When I'm in a long streak, it's very noticeable how you can just sink into I'm good. Like that clarity is a different clarity of thought that comes from the process.
I was trying to take your advice as you were talking and thinking exactly what you said, like, oh, I can't clear my head. But I liked what you said about watching the trees. I liked that. Felt like something that I could do, like to just not tell a story about the trees, not just and that I think is really, really helpful. And maybe that's what intimidates people. Oh, you have to close your eyes. Oh, you have to be in a certain space. Oh, I think that sometimes you could be on a walk and just even go into that state while you're in a walk. I guess that's probably helpful to think about too, that you don't have to be still. If you're someone that struggles with stillness, sometimes stillness makes your mind more active than yeah, that's really good. I feel like if you were leading me, I could do it. I have done it with you before in cool downs, actually. So you're very gifted at it. And we'll share with our audience so they can listen to some of the meditations that you shared on your podcast, because I know that they're short. They're like 3-5 minutes long, which I think is also helpful. It's not something you need to do for half an hour. And it's not even necessarily something you need to do every day, right? Like it's something that's a practice like anything else. And you can just put it into your life where it feels right. And then hopefully get to where you are, where you crave it, right? That's exercise for me. Like I don't feel good if I don't exercise. So I understand what you're saying. Like you don't feel good if you don't meditate, but you didn't start off that way. You started off with discipline and creating a routine and a ritual. And I think that's really, really helpful. So a lot of people in our community, I know, so one of the things that Jill and I have done before, it wasn't just us, it was other people in the mastermind, but we have a device called the My Zone, which tracks your MEPS, which is like your energy expended. And my students got all worked up about your students because they were like, they're just outside all the time and they're playing golf and playing tennis and riding their bikes and they're just getting a million maps, and they were like all worked up. And so you obviously have a lot of people in your community, it seems, are very active. It's part of their lifestyle, and maybe they have more time, maybe they're retired, maybe yeah. So my community was definitely like had a hard time competing with you guys, but we did it. We had a lot of fun with that. But I always tell them, I'm like, if you knew Jill, you would love her. You would love everything that she has to offer. What would you say, Jill? Like just like thinking about a fitness community and talking about my community, I think a lot of them start for weight loss, just like you did, right? They start because they're not feeling good in their own skin. They aren't fitting in their clothes, and they say, I'm here for weight loss, right? But then they stay for a lot of very different reasons. And it's the community aspect of it, and the physical, the feeling good, the energy that's created, feeling stronger, being able to do more, and just be strong, just be stronger in their daily life. What if I invited you to my studio and you got to do like a little closing talk for them, what would you tell them to keep doing? What would be your advice to them as a coach and a trainer?
Oh gosh, just to keep looking out for each other. Just because sometimes like in communities like that, like you can call each other out in the moment or in the space, but sometimes when someone disappears, they're going through a hard time, and it's depending on the nature of the relationships that have been formed. I know in our community, they run the gamut from these people have become the best of friends to those are my gym friends. If I see Trader Joe's or at the grocery store, yeah, that's my, your family's like, who is that? Like, oh, that's my gym friend. Like little, you love this person, you know more about them than, you do some of your relatives. But I think sometimes when we disappear or when life gets hard and we have to distance, it's just such a natural human reaction that we feel, at least in my community and what I see, like a lot of fitness communities, like then you start to feel bad to reach out. Like, well, I don't want to bother them. I know they'll be back. Well, I don't want them to think like I'm a slacker. But I think to just keep doing what I see your community doing, like look out for each other. It's the classic, like, Mr. Rogers, just look out, watch for the good people, because the lifeline we have, like that common bond, is that. It is that human being when you're sweating it out and you're at the last rep and you're like, she wants us to do more rib trainer, or, your BOSUs or your push-ups and your birthday challenges. And sometimes you just have to like lock eyes with somebody and be like, Oh, okay. You know I can. You believe me. You see me. Like I can do it. So I think just keeping those lifelines. And it's hard because communities. Sometimes I even say the curse of the community. Like the curse of the community is like we become like crazy aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters and cousins, and you can't invite everybody to every birthday gathering. So it's like, oh, what do I do? But I think there's so much real humanity in that we have this own little ecosystem, but in one of the most natural, raw environments out there where there's no makeup, there's like ponytails, there's hats, t-shirts, there's like, I don't recognize half our members when I go to the grocery store if they're all I'm just like, I look like this every day.
My members recognize me because I'm wearing a hat, the same clothes I wore to class.
Yeah. So I think there's just this raw organic beauty in the relationship we have in our communities that you cannot find anywhere else. And so just to look out for each other and honor, we're all going to still have family life and work life and the other world that has more drama or things like energy vampires that try to weigh us down, that sometimes we just have to really still be there for each other, even when somebody's going through a hard time and might kind of like shut away or something.
No, I think that's really good. That's great advice and that I've heard that from our community in particular, like it meant so much to them that somebody reached out, somebody noticed that they weren't there, because that's part of belonging, like where people notice when you're not there. And that means a lot to people. And I think that's something that we both aspire to do. We both aspire to create a space where people can go, where they don't feel judged and they feel like they belong and they feel like no matter what version of themselves they bring that day, it's fine. And we might joke with them and we might give them a hard time, but we're so happy that they're there. And that's what a great coach does. Jill, you are a great coach. You really are. You really are such a soulful, heart-centered, giving, caring coach, but then you're also an amazing trainer, and I know your community appreciates you and all that you have to offer, and just some of the things that you were talking about as we were talking, I'm like, I need to do that. And that's kind of what I hoped for today. It's funny, we always talk about setting an intention, and I wanted you to inspire me in some ways, because I know what your community is, and I know how much it means to you, and I know that you guys aren't traditional, and it's hard to describe what you do because it's not traditional. And that's one of the things that I love the most about you, is you are so authentic and just true to who you are, and that's what draws the right people to you and creates the community that you have. So I just want to say thank you, because it really was my intention. And I felt like you delivered it just as I knew you would, because you pour into people and you really have the ability to read people. I feel like you just have a natural ability to like know what someone needs at a moment, that whatever moment it is. And I'm sure you do that with your members. I know you do that with our mastermind. I know that's one of the things that Todd loves and respects about you so much, and so many of our other mastermind members. But yeah, so thank you, Jill. Thank you for being on Start Before You're Ready. Thank you for starting before you're ready with your business. I like to think that there's angels in our life, and that angel was the friend that took you to sign the lease before that was something you had even thought about. And now it all makes sense, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you. Because you doing this is bringing so much like joy and hope to people, because you're just bringing back the old tradition of sitting around and telling stories.
I know. I love that. Right. I do. That's exactly right. It's just like talking, and that's what I want. Not formal, we're in our workout clothes and we're talking. Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. And let's see, for you, you've got a whole day ahead of you. Oh boy, I know. And you go, that's the other thing. Jill goes all day. I'm retired compared to Jill. She starts early and she goes all day. And I said to her last time we were together, I'm like, I don't know how you do that, Jill. I don't know how you are on for such a large part of the day. And I guess it's the meditation and just having that incredible desire to serve. So even when you are feeling a little tired, you dig deep and you find it. So you inspire me in so many ways. Thank you so much, Jill.
Thank you. It's really lovely. I love your people, love your community, love you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.